I want you to take a second and mentally scan your current digital life, just right now as you're listening to this summary.
Oh, yeah, just think about the sheer number of browser tabs you have open across your devices.
Right. The unread emails sitting in your
Yeah.
inbox, the calendar alerts, the group texts, and, that subtle lingering anxiety that you are definitely forgetting something important.
Which is basically everyone's baseline right now.
It really is. So if you feel constantly distracted or like you are quite literally drowning in information, I want you to know you're not alone. And more importantly, you are going to learn today why it is absolutely not a personal failing.
No, not at all.
It's a strict biological mismatch. So today, we're bringing you a comprehensive book summary of The Organized Mind, Thinking Straight in the Age of Information Overload by Daniel J. Levitin.
And the goal here is to really get past those surface level productivity hacks, buying a more expensive planner or like downloading a new to-do app. Well, that just won't fix the underlying issue.
Yeah, it's like putting a Band-Aid on a broken arm.
Exactly. We are going to explore the actual neuroscience behind why our brains are effectively short-circuiting in the modern world, and we'll look at the concrete, biologically aligned systems we can actually build to stop it.
Which is fascinating.
It is, and Levitin is uniquely positioned to explain this. He's a leading cognitive neuroscientist who specializes in memory, attention, and brain function. But honestly, his background is what makes his perspective so valuable.
Right, because he wasn't always in academia.
No, before his career as a neuroscientist, he actually spent years working in the music industry.
Which, I mean, that seems like a massive pivot. But if you think about it, a recording studio is kind of the ultimate testing ground for human cognition.
Oh, absolutely.
You have the raw, chaotic, just free-flowing creativity of the artists. And that's mixed with the intense, high-stakes logistics of the producers. I mean, they're managing million-dollar budgets, dozens of session musicians, thousands of audio tracks.
Right, and that environment requires intense executive functioning. So Levitin saw firsthand how the most successful people in that industry managed, massive amounts of complex data without crushing their creative output.
And what did he find?
He realized they were unknowingly utilizing systems that perfectly align with how our brain's neural networks actually operate.
Wow. But we have to start with the fundamental problem here before we fix anything. The sheer volume of data we're asking our brains to process daily is historically unprecedented.
Yeah, it's staggering.
Like, our ancestors didn't have to process the equivalent of hundreds of newspapers worth of data every single day.
Yeah.
The hardware in our skulls evolved for a completely different environment.
A significantly slower paced one.
Exactly. One that required vastly different survival skills.
Right. I mean, the human brain is an evolutionary marvel, obviously,
Right.
but it is highly specialized. It evolved to scan a quiet horizon, detect a subtle movement in the brush, and just lock onto that single threat or food source.
So it's built for focus.
Yes. It is built for deep sequential processing and pattern recognition. It is fundamentally not engineered to track massive disconnected data sets or, handle rapid fire, constant interruptions.
Wait, let's unpack this, because I like to think of the human brain as this high-performance vintage sports car.
Yeah.
It's an absolute masterpiece of engineering. Right?
Sure, yeah.
But right now, we're taking that vintage sports car and we're sticking it in modern bumper-to-bumper gridlock traffic.
That's a great analogy.
The machine is brilliant, but it just wasn't engineered for this specific environment. Because in the hunter-gatherer environment, an interruption was a matter of life and death.
Right. If you heard a twig snap, your brain instantly hijacked your attention to focus on that new stimulus.
It's a survival mechanism. But today, the twig snapping is like a Slack notification or ping from your phone.
Yeah, and our brains are literally treating every single red notification badge as a potential predator or a vital resource.
It sounds exhausting.
It is. You've hit on the core biological constraint here, which is the attentional filter. We have what neuroscientists call working memory.
Basically, our brain's active scratch pad.
Exactly. And we can only hold a very small number of items in our active consciousness at any given moment. So the problem in the modern world isn't actually that there's too much information out there.
It's not.
No, the problem is that our evolutionary filtering mechanisms are broken. Our brains are hardwired with a novelty bias.
Oh, meaning we just love new things.
Right. We are involuntarily letting every new shiny piece of data into our working memory, and that forces the system to constantly dump the old information just to make room for the new.
So it's not a storage issue, it's a bottleneck issue.
Yes, exactly.
We are basically trying to force a fire hose of information through a funnel the size of a straw.
That's exactly what's happening.
And I guess that leads directly to how we naturally try to cope with this bottleneck, which is multitasking.
Oh, yes. The ultimate myth.
We try to widen the funnel by doing like 5 things at once.
Yeah.
We answer emails while listening to a meeting on Zoom while scrolling the news on our phone.
Which brings us to probably the starkest scientific reality presented in the book, what we call multitasking. It literally does not exist in the cognitive centers of the brain.
Wait, it doesn't exist at all?
No. The brain is physically incapable of processing two complex cognitive tasks simultaneously. When you think you're multitasking, you are actually just engaging in rapid task switching.
Just bouncing back and forth.
Right. Your brain is frantically shifting its spotlight of attention back and forth between the email, the meeting, and the news.
I mean, I hear you, but I have to push back on that a little bit. I have to challenge the absolute nature of that.
Okay, lay it on me.
Because look, there are moments where I genuinely feel like I am successfully doing 2 things at once. Like, I can easily drive my car while having a really deep, complex conversation with a passenger in the seat next to me. Or, I can fold laundry while listening to a super intense audiobook. That feels like true multitasking to me.
I get that, but those examples actually prove the rule. You see, you can pair a highly automated physical task like folding laundry or driving on an empty highway with a cognitive task.
Oh, because they use different parts of the brain.
Exactly. Those physical tasks use the brain's motor pathways, but you cannot pair two cognitive tasks. Try reading a dense legal contract while actively listening to an audiobook.
Oh yeah, no, that's a disaster.
Right, you can't. You will either stop comprehending the text or you'll completely tune out the audio.
But the illusion of productivity is just so incredibly strong when we try to juggle those cognitive tasks at work. Why does it feel so good if it's biologically impossible?
Well, because you are caught in a neurochemical feedback loop. Remember that novelty bias we talked about?
Right.
Every time you switch your attention to a new email or a text message, your brain releases a tiny hit of dopamine.
Ah, so we're getting rewarded for being distracted.
Precisely. It rewards you for seeking out new information. You feel stimulated, you feel energized and busy, which mimics the feeling of getting things done. But the metabolic cost of that rapid task switching is just staggering.
Yeah, I read a study recently about the actual physiological drain of task switching. The prefrontal cortex, which is, the logical decision-making part of the brain, it runs on oxygenated glucose.
Yes, and it has a finite daily supply.
Exactly. So every time you wrench your attention away from, say, a spreadsheet to answer a quick message, and then try to force your attention back to the spreadsheet, your brain literally has to burn glucose to reconfigure its neural networks for the old rules.
And that reconfiguration, it takes time. Every single interruption forces a switching cost.
The switching cost.
Right. It takes several minutes to reestablish the depth of focus you had before the interruption. So if you're task switching hundreds of times a day, you are just bleeding your brain's glucose supply dry.
Which explains why by 2 p.m. I feel massive mental fatigue.
Oh, we all do. You start making errors, your memory retention plummets. Levitin makes it unequivocally clear in the book. Trying to divide your attention is a biological drain. Deep sequential focus is the only way the brain actually produces quality work.
So if our prefrontal cortex is burning through this finite daily budget of glucose just to switch tasks, we really need to look at what else is draining that metabolic budget without us even realizing it.
Yes, we do.
The book highlights something called decision fatigue, and I feel like it fundamentally changes how you view your physical environment.
It absolutely does. You see, the executive functioning system of the brain, it doesn't differentiate between the importance of decisions.
What do you mean?
Well, choosing whether to launch a new multi-million-dollar product line consumes executive functioning energy, but so does deciding what to eat for breakfast, or deciding whether to respond to an email right now or later.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You wake up with a hard limit on your daily decision-making capacity. Every choice, big or small, is a microtransaction from that daily energy budget.
Which makes total sense of why so many high-profile leaders famously wear the exact same clothes every day. Or, they eat the exact same meals.
Right.
They aren't just trying to be quirky, they're ruthlessly eliminating trivial decisions in the morning so they have more glucose available in the afternoon for high-stakes problem solving.
That's exactly it. But Levitin takes this beyond just daily habits. He applies this directly to the physical clutter on our desks and in our homes.
So clutter is draining our battery too.
Visual clutter is a massive hidden drain on our cognitive energy. Think about how the visual cortex works. Your eyes are constantly taking in your environment. If your desk is covered in old mail, random receipts, empty coffee cups, sticky notes,
Stop, you're describing my desk right now.
well, your visual cortex has to process every single one of those items.
I think of it like a smartphone battery. Every single app you leave running in the background, just like every piece of clutter on your desk, is secretly draining the battery percentage faster than you realize.
Yes, because the brain has to register the object, identify what it is, and then actively make a subconscious decision.
Like, do I need to deal with this receipt right now? No.
Exactly. And it has to make that decision to suppress that information every single time your eyes pass over it.
That is wild.
It really is. It's like holding a 1 ounce weight. Holding a 1 ounce weight for a second is nothing. But if you have to hold 50 of them all day long, your arm will eventually give out.
Right.
Every piece of visual noise in your periphery forces your brain into a state of continuous low-level evaluation. So clearing your physical space isn't about maintaining some, minimalist aesthetic.
It's functional.
Yes, it is a neurological necessity to stop the leakage of your executive functioning energy.
Okay, so we have this biological reality. We have a highly restrictive attentional filter, a limited daily budget of glucose for decision-making, and a brain that is easily hijacked by novelty.
It's a tough combo.
It is. And we obviously can't upgrade our internal hardware. So the only logical solution is to move the heavy lifting outside of the brain entirely.
And this is Levitin's central thesis. This is arguably the most critical lesson of the book.
Let's hear it.
The brain is for thinking, not storage.
Hmm.
We need to relentlessly utilize external memory.
External memory.
Yes. Tools like calendars, structured checklists, filing systems. These are not just administrative tasks or office supplies. They are literal physical extensions of our cognitive architecture.
To understand why this is so powerful, we really have to look at the mechanics of human memory. Because we tend to think of our memory like a video recorder, but it's so much messier than that.
Oh, it is incredibly messy. The brain encodes information, stores it, and then has to retrieve it later.
Right. Encoding, storage, retrieval.
And the retrieval is where the system falls apart.
Yeah.
Human memory is highly associative. When you try to remember a specific piece of information, like an important task you need to do tomorrow, your brain doesn't just pull up a clean digital file.
Like double-clicking a folder.
Right, it doesn't work like that. It tries to reconstruct the memory based on the context and associations around it. If the context changes, the memory often becomes totally inaccessible.
So it's not that we didn't store it.
No, the information is still stored in your brain, but you have lost the neurological map to find it. Forgetting is almost always a retrieval failure.
I always picture it like a massive, completely dark warehouse. All of your memories and tasks are stored in there somewhere in these little boxes. But your active attention is just a tiny flashlight.
That's a brilliant way to look at it.
Right. You can only eliminate a few boxes at a time. So if you rely on your biological memory to keep track of 50 different tasks, you're constantly forcing your brain to run around the dark warehouse, waving that flashlight, panicking that you missed a box.
And that panic is a very real physiological state. It relates to a psychological principle called the Zeigarnik effect.
The Zeigarnik effect.
Yeah, it basically means that unfinished tasks or unresolved thoughts create a state of cognitive tension. Your brain will continuously loop that unfinished task in your working memory just to remind you, which creates that subtle, lingering anxiety we talked about at the beginning of the summary.
It's the brain refusing to let go of the information because it doesn't actually trust you to remember it later.
Yes. And the only way to break that loop is to offload the information into a trusted external system. When you write something down in a designated place, you are tricking your brain into believing the task is handled.
And the tension just drops.
The cognitive tension releases immediately. You extract the data from the dark warehouse of your mind and put it on a well-lit external conveyor belt.
That makes a lot of sense. But I have to ask, because a lot of creative people resist organization. The word system often scares people off. They think that strict organization and calendars will box them in.
Right. People think that working in a state of controlled chaos somehow fuels their creativity.
Exactly. But it sounds like Levitin is arguing the exact opposite.
He strongly pushes back against that idea. And again, he points to his time in the music industry. Disorganization actually forces your brain into a constant state of reactive thinking.
Oh, because you're always putting out fires.
Right. If you are using your limited glucose to remember where your keys are or what time your meeting is, and trying to recall that great idea you had in the shower, well, you have zero cognitive bandwidth left over for actual, deep, innovative thought.
You are surviving, not creating.
Exactly. Organization creates the required mental void for innovation. By offloading the mundane, logistical details of your life into an external system, you clear the working memory.
They're freeing up the RAM.
Yes, you give your prefrontal cortex the space and the energy it needs to connect disparate ideas and actually create something new. Structure is the prerequisite for creative freedom.
Okay, so let's talk about the actionable items.
Yeah.
How do we build this structure? We understand the biology now. We know we need to stop task switching, protect our glucose, and offload our memory. How does Levitin suggest we actually manage the daily avalanche of incoming information?
He advocates for a highly rigid triage system for literally anything that enters your world, whether that's a physical piece of mail, an email, or a passing request from a colleague. You must force it into one of 4 categories immediately so it doesn't sit in your working memory.
Okay, what are the 4 buckets?
First is do it. If it takes less than 2 minutes, do it right now to prevent it from becoming a stored task. Second, delegate it. Give it to someone else if you aren't the right person for it.
Makes sense.
Third, defer it, meaning you immediately put it into your calendar or an external system to deal with later.
Which, sounds very similar to the classic Eisenhower matrix or the getting things done methodology. But the biological nuance here is what's crucial.
How so?
It's not just about prioritizing your time. It's about closing the cognitive loop instantly. By making an immediate decision on the data, you prevent your visual cortex and your working memory from having to evaluate it again.
Yes, beautifully said. And the 4th category is the most vital. Drop it.
Just delete it.
Eliminate it entirely. We have this severe hoarding mentality when it comes to information. We save articles we will never read. We archive emails we will never need, mostly out of a fear of missing out.
Because acquiring information gives us that dopamine hit we talked about earlier.
Yes. But aggressively deleting irrelevant information is a superpower. It is the fastest way to reduce cognitive load.
So simply deleting things can boost productivity more than acquiring new information.
Without a doubt.
I love that. And the next actionable item deals with the clutter already inside your head, the daily brain dump.
Oh, this is essential.
Right? Like if your mind is swirling at night and you can't sleep or you feel totally paralyzed at your desk, you need to physically write down every single thought, anxiety, and task on a piece of paper.
Yep, get it out.
It doesn't need to be organized yet. You just need to act as a release valve, moving the data from your biological working memory into the physical world.
And once it is externalized, then you can categorize it, which leads to the final and perhaps most important defense mechanism, time blocking.
Time blocking.
Yeah. If we accept the scientific reality that multitasking is a myth and task switching destroys our cognitive energy, then having an open door policy and an open inbox all day are just recipes for burnout.
You have to build walls around your attention. Your calendar shouldn't just be a record of when you owe other people your time. It needs to be a biological defense system.
A biological defense system. I really like that framing.
You have to schedule uninterrupted blocks of time for deep work. And during those blocks, you must sever your connection to the novelty-producing machines.
You have to. Turn off the notifications, put the phone in literally another room. You have to isolate the prefrontal cortex so it can do the heavy lifting without constantly being interrupted by that survival-based novelty bias.
But it's hard, right? Because the social circuitry of the brain makes this really difficult. We are tribal creatures. We are wired to respond to social signaling.
Which is exactly what a text message or a social media ping simulates. It feels like the tribe is calling. But if you don't actively defend your deep focus, the modern environment will fracture your attention into 1,000 useless pieces.
So as you step back into your day, let's recap the core actionable lessons from the Organized Mind.
Yeah.
First, respect your biological bottleneck.
Right.
Stop relying on your fragile associative memory to store the logistics of your life. Build external systems. Use checklists, calendars, and notepads to hold your data so your brain doesn't have to.
Crucial.
Second, recognize that multitasking is a neurochemical illusion. It is secretly draining your finite daily energy budget. Prioritize deep, singular focus.
One thing at a time.
Third, relentlessly clear your physical and digital environments to protect yourself from decision fatigue and the metabolic drain of visual clutter. And finally, triage incoming information instantly to prevent it from looping in your working memory.
When you align your habits with the biological reality of how your brain actually functions, the results are just transformative. Levitin highlights a deeply profound truth about why we have these cognitive networks in the first place.
What does he say?
He writes, memory evolved not to help us remember the past, but to help us predict the future.
Wow. That reframes everything. Your brain is essentially a prediction engine. It wants to take the data of the world, synthesize it, and help you navigate what is coming next. But
Exactly.
if you force that incredible prediction engine to waste all of its metabolic energy trying to remember your grocery list, or where you left the sunglasses, or, what tab that important email is in, it has nothing left to offer you.
Nothing left.
If you offload all of that daily clutter into a trusted external system, you free up the mental horsepower required to actually start predicting, planning, and building the future you want.
It's incredibly empowering once you build those systems.
It really is.